yes, here's a Kanista Adhikari insufficient guidance guru.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're giving him that instead of Prabhupada, who he was already initiated by.
Isn't that something, huh?
Yeah, sort of like trading in your Rolls Royce for a broken down Hyundai.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have a proper understanding in this lifetime, you're obviously going to get that understanding next lifetime also. So if you have improper understanding now, and you go with the whole bogus agenda,
how much of an understanding is a proper understanding?
proper understanding is Prabhupada is the guru, Shiksha and Diksha guru. You don't need anything else.
But if he says that that's not going to be the way the rules are run, if you take another birth and you don't remember this present birth, but you're born into ISKCON where the guru is a successor to keep the sampradaya going, no matter how inept he may be or she may be. So how do you accept the step down from being Prabhupada's disciple to being the disciple of somebody who's an offshoot initiate of Bhavananda, say?
You become a renegade like me.
Either that or you just accept it and say it doesn't feel as good as it used to. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I had some sort of inner feeling that Krishna consciousness had a great deal of connectivity to Krishna and Prabhupada. But this lifetime, I feel that it's just like a religion where the priest is just baptized me, and that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, that's a conundrum that they can't answer. You know, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, why don't you write to Basu Ghosh and bring that point up?
I was thinking about it, but you're doing the talking. I'm just observing.
I think you should start, because I was pretty heavy with him on this latest one. I started out, Rupa Manjari and I were working together on it very nicely, but then she went to bed at 8. I kept on going for another 3 or 4 hours. And so by the time I finished, I was exhausted.
Well, now I kind of understand Bhakti Ghosh's mentality. So it's you do it, you do too. So it's it's all about the present ISKCON male gurus and no female gurus.
Yeah, but how does he know that in his next birth he won't be forced to have a female guru?
Right.
I mean, he won't know the difference.
Yeah. I can't hear you, Rupa Manjari. You're like, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's better.
I said he hates female gurus so much that he'll get one in his next birth.
Jai. Yeah. I mean,
that's for sure.
Why the hatred, man?
Well, that's sort of up there with something. I don't know if you've read it or not. But can I read you something real quick?
Sure. Yes.
About just imagine 50 years from now, Jayadvaita Swami in his next birth in ISKCON encountering all the book changes that he made in the present lifetime, screaming, "Who has dared to change Prabhupada's books? I will dedicate my life to restoring them to their original state, as written and approved by Srila Prabhupada," he screams. Not realizing that it was he who made the egregious edits in his previous life, he will hotly work in a rage day and night to bring them back to their original text as originally approved by Srila Prabhupada. Meanwhile, cursing the person who changed them in the 20th century, not realizing it was he himself in this previous life. What do you think?
I said
And I was going to put in a section that said that people will be astonished at how good he is at changing them back. But the real reason is because he remembers having changed them, so now he knows what to put them back to.
Jai,
This is the sort of
yeah,
thing that's very, very possible that
definitely.
his whole book changes is a reaction against Hayagriva and to some degree against Prabhupada. So when he goes back again and he sees changes, he's the only one that can do changes from his previous life. Now he's saying, who dares do the change? Because he won't remember his previous life.
Are you sure he won't like the changes?
No, I don't think he will, because he had no reason to change them in the first place.
Well, he's made a religion out of doing it.
Right. That's the interesting part. Oh, he might, you might be quite right. But I'm just entertaining the thought that he wants the books to be perfect. Since they're already changed, making them perfect would mean changing them back again, right? Of course, he doesn't know that he changed them. So you could say, who dared change these books? I'm going to put them back the way Prabhupada put it. If changing is his thing, and that would be, changing it back would be his thing.
Well, there's not
So
much to change back
The other,
because
this pendulum swinging in the other direction. I don't see anybody resonating with that joke, so maybe it isn't that good after all. So Ramachandra, what I would encourage you to do when you get a chance to do it is take like this. I don't know if he's going to answer this or not answer this, but you could go, well, if we go over this tonight a bit, then you could see things that you could answer to amplify, change, or improve what I wrote, and send those to him as a separate posting so that he doesn't get locked into a locking horns with me on the different topics.
Yeah, he might get exhausted with you writing all day and night. You're like, not Narayan again. What does he want this time? Maybe we should send that letter that Prabhupada wrote to you. What did Prabhupada say about Narayan Prabhu, Rupa Manjari Prabhu?
Oh, I don't know what you're referring to.
Prabhupada wrote a letter about Narayan Prabhu to someone, to Garga Muni or something. I'd
love to know about it.
He said something. He's a farm boy and he's a good something good, good boy or
He
something.
comes from an honest farm family.
Yes. That's yeah. Oh yeah, he called you eccentric, I think.
Oh yeah.
Right? Wasn't it? I think it did.
I don't recall.
Yeah. I guess he didn't read the letter yet.
You should post it.
I'll look it up right now. Let's see what Prabhupada is saying. 1 second.
No, Narayan, are you there?
I'm here.
So did you send another letter to Basu Ghosh today?
No, I sent that one last night.
Oh, last night.
Okay, so here's the letter to
Well, the thing
Brahmananda.
is that it's got a huge thing stacked on top of it.
Maybe you can read the letter, Rupa.
Okay. Regarding Narayan, he is already preparing to go there. He is very intelligent, and I understand that he has very fine carpentry skills. Also, he has knowledge about casting deities. So after his business with the temple work is completed, you can try to encourage him to continue with his casting work. He is coming from a respectable farm family, but sometimes I understand he becomes a little eccentric, so keep him carefully. He is a hard worker and a good boy and a devotee also.
Jai,
That's
yes.
nice.
This was 1968. Wow. There you go. Jai.
So the thing that you brought up on the screen from, you have to go down halfway through it to one that said it was sent at 1:08 a.m. And it's not that easy to read. He doesn't like upper lowercase. He doesn't like highlighting and all that. Then it becomes extremely difficult to communicate.
It's better just calling him and be like, Prabhu, I need answers to these questions.
Yeah. I may have to go through it, but do you see, you have to go down through a whole thing of the previous unanswered document, and it gets down to yesterday at 6:42 p.m. And then it is the one underneath that is
Vinayak Prabhu, what's going on? You have any questions, Prabhu?
Not as such questions, but one thing I wanted to ask that
Comments? Yeah.
yeah, sometimes like there are devotees in ISKCON like who might be having initiated by some guru in ISKCON, but they spend their whole lives serving Srila Prabhupada, like translating his books or his lectures or distributing his books and these kind of things. So I want to ask about what will happen to them, like to those devotees, because just for formality sake, they took some initiation from some guru, but they are reading Prabhupada's books, hearing his lectures, distributing like his books or doing everything around Prabhupada. So what will happen to them? Like if we ask from those devotees that who is your guru, they will name some ISKCON guru.
well, are
But
you asking if they'll go to a hellish planet or something?
no, but
No.
actually they are innocent. They don't know the whole thing that what Prabhupada wanted and the whole thing they don't know. But they
Well,
are serving
You want
Prabhupada.
to, I can tell you exactly what will happen to them. They'll take another birth as a Kinestadikari in ISKCON and keep on taking births until they get it straight. You see what I mean? You keep on going.
Yeah, but sometimes like situations are there. For example, in India, we see that Jayapataka Maharaj initiates like 1,000 people in one go. So many of them don't even understand the things, but they spend their lives taking instructions from Prabhupada through his lectures and books. So practically the guru-disciple relationship they do not have with Jayapataka Swami, but they have with Prabhupada. But
Well,
outwardly
they'll
they
take
say
that.
that they
If
are
they don't get it
disciples of
in this
Jayapataka Swami.
lifetime or the next lifetime, they'll have to take another birth and another birth. They have to take as many births as it takes, as long as they stick with the program to until they get it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's basically the same question or the same answer to, like, if you're a Prabhupada disciple, initiated 69 or 68 or 70, and then you change bodies in the next, next
10
20,
minutes.
30 years, Do you still take a guru in ISKCON, or are you already initiated and you continue from wherever you left off?
Well, my personal view is that I will continue where I left off.
Yeah,
I would like to be born with the memory of this lifetime.
yeah, I think so. No, not think so. It is the fact. Yeah, I agree.
Well, not necessarily. I could be born without any memory of this lifetime.
No, if you're given a human form of life, granted, you continue wherever you left off. So I mean, if you take a Kanishta Adhikari Guru, that will stunt you. You know why? Why would you do that?
I'm sorry?
I said, you have Prabhupada as your spiritual master. Why would you downgrade? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, my goal is by the time I finish this lifetime, they will have rectified the problem so that Prabhupada is the Diksha Guru for everybody.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's very powerful. Yeah. Prabhupada wrote about the Kirtan under Maharaj. We can have many centers and I think many centers with the worship of the Acharya in the center. Yeah, he wrote to Kirtan. So it's the Acharya that's worship, not transparent via medium. So that is not being done. At least if you have a Kanishta initiator.
Like my question again is the same, like if ISKCON is Prabhupada's body and everyone in ISKCON is by default his disciples, and they are also serving Prabhupada by distributing books, doing services in temples, preaching and these things, but just outwardly they are claiming that they have taken initiation from such and such guru and they are his disciples. But actually they are serving Prabhupada, so they will not get any benefit from that
Well,
service.
everyone is serving Prabhupada. The question is, are they, I understand your question. I mean, they don't finish this birth, what happens in their next lifetime? Well, in whatever way they will continue. You know what I mean?
My experience has been that if you stick to Srila Prabhupada, there will be confirmation that, okay, you don't need a guru, and that will be apparent in your life. I think that's pretty clear in my life.
In your next birth?
Yeah.
I have no way of knowing.
Yeah, no way of knowing, but at least you'll get some insights, I guess, in the next life.
Well, it
Same
all
for
depends.
me
You could
also.
always do a past life regression.
Yeah.
Practically, it's
Hello?
with everyone. Like even if someone is following some guru is in ISKCON, it's for them also. Like they are also reading his books, getting everything from his books. But they have just like maybe some. It may be considered like if I call it like somewhat philosophically as adi bhautik misery that the miseries that another living entity gives to you, in which another living entity who is a like dishonest person, he's claiming to be your guru, and it is like a misery that is overpowering your intelligence and ego, and within your mind you are thinking that that person is your guru. So
It's
it
hard
could be
to say.
considered like that.
You might come to the conclusion, I'm just going to chant Hare Krishna and study Prabhupada's books and open my own center where Prabhupada is in the center. And you could do that if you wanted to. Oh, by the way, Pansa Ghosh and Rupa Manjari Prabhu,
Yeah.
I just sent a fresh thing called a fresh copy, so it'll be easier to read, okay?
Okay.
So you might as well bring that up instead of the one we were working with, which is like 4 different separate things stuck together.
Okay. Vinayak Prabhu, can you re-say what you were saying, Prabhu? It was very interesting.
Yeah, so just like there is a concept of different like threefold miseries, in which one kind of miseries is the misery that other people give to us. So similarly, this misery of having a non-bona fide guru can also be the kind of misery that other living entity gives to you, that some person cheats you, becomes your guru, but actually your guru is Prabhupada. And this misery actually overpowers your mind to think that that person is your guru, but actually Prabhupada is your guru. So like this misery should not be a detrimental factor towards someone's spiritual life if he is following Srila Prabhupada.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true, but
Yeah.
why not look at
agree.
the Catholic Church? Jesus is supposedly the guru of all Catholics, but the Pope refuses to let people worship Jesus directly, and the cardinals refuse. But sometimes individuals worship Jesus directly, or they
Yeah.
felt Jesus was working through them, like Joan of Arc, and various other saints. And they were generally put to death for going outside of the authority of the church. But then when their lives were examined and the miracles of their lives were revealed, then they were made into saints. So first the church killed them, then they made them into saints. But my main point is that if you take birth and you go to an ISKCON temple, if you develop strong realization in this lifetime as a disciple of Prabhupada, you're going to want that same level of strong realization and work from it, even if you go beyond the local gurus that may be there. You'll want the answers because that's where you were headed in this lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, my experience has been, I was listening to Srila Prabhupada and I was never like for any type of these gurus, you know. I admired them to a degree, but there was always a question mark in my life, you know, like what's going on here? Then, you know, when I ventured out of their association, then things started to make sense.
Yeah,
Because
and when you and I connected,
yes,
things began to make sense also.
yes, yeah, that was the exact time. Yes.
Same for me
Ramachandra,
also.
did you
Prabhu.
bring up
Huh?
the thing called what's it called? Fresh copy. It's the same topic that you were working on, but it's the one which I sent to Vasu Ghosh.
Vinayak Prabhu, you were saying something, same thing, what?
Yeah, the same experience for me also, like the realization gets like empowered when we meet, when I met with like Narna and Prabhu and came to this ISKCON.
Jai,
Yes.
that's testimonial.
Well,
Jai.
Otherwise, like every
have you
lecture I
considered,
was,
Vinayak Prabhu, that you may have been a disciple of Prabhupada in your previous life, and then you passed away at some point, and you took this birth, and in this birth, you're looking for the same level. And I would say the same about Ramachandra.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you may well have been a Prabhupada disciple in your previous life, and then passing away, you
Yes.
took birth expecting the same thing from ISKCON, but not getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had several encounters in my, just before waking up with Srila Prabhupada. So that kind of confirms what you're saying. I didn't want to say it, but you know,
Yeah,
that's,
I've never thought about it seriously before, but this is a good thing to think about.
yeah, you know, this is revealed to the sincere person or who's trying to, you know,
The main thing,
serve.
if you're a sincere person, you're going to want real answers.
Yes. Yes.
If you're
really.
not getting the real answers from a guy that's supposed to be a guru, then whether you take initiation from him or not, you're going to want to find the real answers, never mind that he's blathering and doesn't know what he's doing or talking about.
Yes. Yeah. I've met many gurus, you know, Bir Krishna, Vaisheshika, you know, Bhakti Vikas, Danavir, you know, Maharaj. You know, some of them are good, sincere, you know, I don't know if you want to call them sincere, but, you know, followers of Srila Prabhupada, but, you know, I never felt any connection or any substance just like, you know, your experience with Srila Prabhupada is very, you know, I mean, awe and reverence is so much, you know, it's like, I mean, it's like, like out of this world, you know.
I would say it's 3D, except that it goes beyond. It's 4D.
So there you go. When you meet these, you know, these appointed gurus.
Prabhupada said when in his first letter to me that my qualities are very rare I must have been a devotee in my previous life.
Yeah.
So what that
Right.
means, I don't know.
Right.
Was I a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta or somebody else?
Yeah. Who knows? Right. Yeah. I've never had.
By the way,
Huh.
okay, good. So as far as to answer your question by by the way, weren't you going to be coming on to monitor the meeting last night?
What? What happened?
Weren't you going to monitor the meeting last night?
Oh, yeah, but Mohit Prabhu was a little busy, I guess. He was not there, so we couldn't conduct the meeting. So
Oh, I see. And he hasn't shown up this time. Yeah.
Mohit is there, but he's not connected via the microphone. So
Okay. So anyhow, did you pull up the thing that said fresh copy?
okay, let me see. 1 second. Fresh copy. All right, let's see.
That's the
Fresh
title.
copy. Okay, I see a title. Fresh copy. Okay. Yeah, let me
Did you
project.
receive fresh copy?
Yeah, I
Okay.
got it.
Okay, so we can work from, if you want to work from it at all, that's the one we should work from.
Okay, let's do that. Fresh copy. Let's see, what is this? Okay, let's do it. Okay, let me bring it up.
I think sometimes like we can have ISKCON 3 hours earlier so that East Coast devotees also can come.
3 hours earlier would be 6.
Yeah.
No, 5, 6, 7, 8.
5 p.m.
The
5
problem
p.m.
is that
I might be still at work,
in
so
California,
yeah.
it would be nice, but the question is, what about Ramachandra's work schedule?
No, yeah, if someone can host it, if Vinayak Prabhu can host it, then sure. Vinayak Prabhu, you make the meeting happen.
I can
And
like
Ramachandra will walk you through how to do it.
yeah, once or twice I can do, but for regularly it's difficult for me to say
Sure.
something.
I mean, yeah,
Of course.
You know
Well, we're
someone
going to
like
have to try to figure out something. And we're trying to figure out also whether it would be better to have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday instead of Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday instead of Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Would that work against anybody's schedule?
like, generally devotees are free on weekends. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If someone is able to manage the meetings on weekends, sure, why not? If I'll manage
But if they
Sundays.
can't, but if
if
they
they-
can't, maybe we could change the meeting day. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah, we
Ramachandra
can.
do it.
Yeah, we can discuss that offline. So let's discuss this email.
Okay, good.
Let's
Yeah.
go on. Yes.
Well, you're in
Okay.
charge, so why not take?
Okay, so this was an email
One
written to Bashu Ghosh Prabhu by Narayan Prabhu. Dear Bashu Ghosh, Namo Namaha. And then something in Jewish, I guess.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay. Rupa, maybe you can read, Prabhu.
Okay. Maybe you'd like to consider dispensing with the caps. Caps indicate emphasis or even screaming in email correspondence. That's what he said.
Yes, there's a Bashu Ghosh Prabhu. Okay.
Then Narayan says, because I am dyslexic with high functioning autism, bordering on Asperger's syndrome, I use caps to separate sections of writing, as well as for clarity under certain circumstances. If everything is written in sentence case, it is very easy to simply allow one's mind, filled with conventional understandings, to simply gloss over the content without grasping the distinctive points. Separating by typeface color gets changed when CC'd, but it is better than nothing. So far, highlighting seems to add clarity, as long as no one reads in the author's intent to dominate, or screaming, etc. I hope you and I can find some middle ground in this matter. Your response to my yes/no questions with highlighted responses have made a huge difference distinguishing whatever Siddhanta we can reach together. Please remember that my interest in ISKCON at this point is in the absolute nature of Srila Prabhupada as the founder Acharya of ISKCON. which by any standard is non-different than the nature of Lord Krishna himself. This spiritual master is understood by his disciples to be the transparent via medium for Krishna, which indicates that he himself is not Krishna, but his words emanate from Lord Krishna, who sent him to earth to further the cause of the Yuga avatar for the golden age of Kali. Srila Prabhupada stated that Krishna is writing these books. Agree, disagree? You firmly believe in sectarianism, which Thakur Bhaktivinoda excoriates, but it is a safe position for you to take in today's highly sectarian ISKCON. Stating that Srila Prabhupada's words were not directly dictated to him by Lord Krishna would indicate that you consider there to be no distinction in authority between Srila Prabhupada's written words and the words of an ordinary man. Srila Prabhupada stated that it is an offense to consider the spiritual master to be an ordinary man, and that would obviously apply to his words as well. This would apply to the non-Uttama Adhikari, so-called authorities who have made a tapestry of beliefs out of Srila Prabhupada's original statements and written orders, such as rejecting the Dham, true, false. Note, getting misquoted views from the other sampradayas on Srila Prabhupada's desire for successor gurus goes beyond sectarianism to secular, godless secularism, oppositanta, as they have no accurate account of Srila Prabhupada's exact words, what to speak of intent, on the matter of disciplic succession. A Catholic priest or Reformed rabbi would be of equal authority as to what Srila Prabhupada actually said or ordered. Agree or disagree?
Okay.
So be free to jump in and
So he's answering here, huh? And at number
Rupa,
one.
could you forward me the thing I just forwarded you?
Okay. Then I'll continue reading then. Would you
Yeah.
prefer to see ISKCON become increasingly sectarian and divided into various branches as the Christian religion? Yes or no? Bhasha Ghosh Prabhu says no, but it seems inevitable that it will split. So what is he saying here? This is interesting. Huh?
Rupa, are you forwarding to me?
Yeah, I forwarded it.
You did.
This is very interesting. He's saying that the movement will split. It seems inevitable that it will split. So ISKCON will become like a Catholic church sooner or later, because that's what's happening. You know, the Bureau is questioning, you know, the qualifications of the initiators in ISKCON right now, who are called the ISKCON gurus. Many of them are GBC members or initiating gurus, and they're questioning their qualifications. And Bhasha Ghosh Prabhu is saying here, no, it seems inevitable that it will split. So are they embracing for this already? You know, we're making a separate.
That's the thing. If it splits, do we have a duty to keep it from splitting?
That's a good
And
question.
if we have a duty to keep it from splitting, he's looking at it purely sociologically. If we have a duty to keep it from splitting, then we need an absolute standard that no one can argue with.
Right.
To me, that an absolute standard is Prabhupada as he presented ISKCON in writing and speech, without adding the hippies and all that other stuff.
I mean, that's a good point, that if they go research what Prabhupada wanted and they come up with an actual thing what Prabhupada wanted, what will happen to their managerial positions? What will happen to their guru positions? What will happen to the temples? Getting GBC voted in every 3 years, electing them 3 years. You know, it will bring a.
Well, that couldn't be done all at once. They have a big, complicated structure. But what you could do is vote it in. This is what we want, and we're going to give ourselves 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to make that. And then we'll change it all to that over as we can. We can't just do it all at once. That would be insane.
So you're saying come up with a conclusion in this lifetime and eventually go towards it. Is what you're saying?
Not even this lifetime, in a few years. And And this conclusion should be based on 1,000 years. What do we want after 1,000 years? What do we want to see at the end of 1,000 years compared to what, do we want the same thing Prabhupada presented at the beginning in 1,000 years? Or do we want to see something evolve and change? How are we going to do it? But it's got to be something you want in 1,000 years, not just something to fix a little problem right now about female and male gurus.
Huh. Yeah. Okay, so this,
Like,
go ahead,
So
Vinayak
which
Prabhu.
line are you on?
Vinayak Prabhu wanted to say something here. Look,
yeah, so I think like the third generation devotees in ISKCON are already having a dream of becoming a guru. So they are not going to easily accept the position of Prabhupada that what actually he wanted. So that's why they are very adamant in opposing this Prabhupada Acharya system.
oh, that's a good point. So they're looking for, the third generation is wanting to be a set of bogus gurus, like the first and second generation, or third generation will become bogus too.
Personal
so-
motivation is never absent from any situation.
What did you say, Narayan Prabhu? What motivation?
Personal self-motivation is
Huh.
never absent from any situation.
Huh.
In other words, people are going to be like that. The question is, what is the highest good?
Where's the highest good? Right, right.
We
No,
have to
the
go for
highest,
the highest good, not simply satisfying everybody's individual, as of this year, lust.
Huh.
so highest good could not be that, but it actually highlights the inherent complexities for GBC to actually honestly make a decision in favor of Prabhupada, because they are
Well, the
afraid that,
GBC, if the GBC did, they would be cutting their own throats.
yeah, because their disciples are already in line to become a guru, and they will
And
be,
at the same time, the GBC is supposed to be elected by the temple presidents, not lording it over the entire movement.
Yeah.
In other words, it would have to be not the GBC might or might not be the ones that would ultimately agree, but they would not agree unless you put enough pressure on them.
Yeah, the
That pressure
public.
would have to come from the rank and file devotees
Yeah.
and from anybody with enough spiritual or theological intelligence to be able to say, we can't keep on doing this, making it up as we go along.
Picking it up as we go along.
Even if there's Shastra here and Shastra there, this Shastra will cover anything from any direction. What are you going to do? Just do Shastra and counter Shastra and then finally have an election? Well, there's 5 Shastras that say yes and 10 Shastras that say no, so the answer has to be no. Oh, I came up with another 15 ones that say yes. Okay, so it's going to be yes and not no. That's not the way to run anything. You can't even run a business, material business like that.
Yeah, I mean, Narayan Prabhu, the Bureau is questioning the authority of the initiators in ISKCON. So let's see what they come up with. You know what I'm saying?
We should be part of that conversation dealing with Banu Maharaj.
Yeah.
If we wait to see what, because they're out in the woods also, they're lost. By the way, where are we on the page? Because I lost my page, so I have it again. So
Right here. Oh, we're right here.
I should have put numbers, for God's sake. Where are we?
Right here. You see
Oh.
the highlighted part in the blue?
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Okay. So let's continue the reading. So Bhashya Ghosh Prabhu writes, no, but it seems inevitable that it will split. So,
Yeah.
and then, is this you wrote that, or this is you writing, right?
Yeah, I should have put, anyhow, what I did wasn't good enough. I may have to redo it.
Yes. So then,
The note is my response to that statement.
okay, note, it has already split, which has triggered our present dialogue. Okay, that's Narayan Prabhu writing. Sectarianism is a direct product of not adhering to the exact mood and sound vibration of the Uttam Adhikari Acharya. Yeah, that's a very good point. If you don't follow his exact mood and instructions, you have an adverse effect to what's And
you
then
get an adverse effect even if you do, because everybody, according to Thakur Bhakti, the minute that the pure devotee speaks, it falls on a contaminated ear, and then when repeated, reflects the contamination of that person. But at least you keep going back to the original source instead of branching out and going on and on and on, like a Boy Scout walking through the woods without a compass or a match or a way
right.
to start a fire. You know, I mean,
Mm.
hey, in the rain without a sleeping bag.
That's a good point, that even though there might be some contamination of whatever, but you go back to the original recipe.
Yeah, you keep going back and you can keep on making it more. Once you've agreed on pure, then you get a bunch of fanatics make it even more pure.
Right, right,
And
right.
so you keep on increasing the pureness past the vision of the people that said, let's make it pure.
Yeah,
They said, let's make it pure with something in their mind. Then what if there's something beyond that? Well, the fanatics, scholars, they can say there's something beyond that. What is it? Yes, that. Oh, okay, I guess we have to accept that too, you know?
yeah, there's a quote to, I think it was to Brahmanandana or what's his Brahmananda's brother, Gargamuni. He says a little bit of pure stuff is better than huge piles of impure.
Yeah, Prabhupada said that.
Yeah, right. Jai. So that's the point that we're saying. If we go back to the pure thing, even though there's some contamination, it'll be rectified, you know, immediately or in time. Right?
Yep.
Right.
Once this absolute standard rules ISKCON, once this absolute standard rules ISKCON, then sectarianism would not be able to manifest. What to speak? What's it?
Metastasize.
Metastasize.
That's what happens with a cancer when it goes haywire.
What? Can't what?
That's what a cancer does when it goes haywire.
Oh,
So I'm
metastasize.
using it like what's happening, we're dealing with it like a cancer in ISKCON.
Metastasize to the degree that it already has. Yeah, I mean, they continued this process of electing or appointing gurus, right after Srila Prabhupada left, and now they're questioning the whole thing after, 50, close to 40 plus years, right? This is
So where does it end?
Where does it end?
Or
Right.
do you expect to keep doing this? I think Basa Ghosh is thinking, well, this is a ever-changing thing. So every 10, 20 years, we keep on changing things to suit the current population.
That's crazy.
But that puts Prabhupada further and further in the distance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that cancer, exactly. It's like a cancer, right? It has just spread like a crazy virus.
Just like
Yeah.
with these temples.
And right now it's reached the metastasize, means it's at the point where it takes over your whole body. And so it takes over the whole body. They're questioning the male gurus. They're questioning if they should have female gurus. They're questioning what do people really believe in ISKCON. In other words, they're challenging whether ISKCON even exists, in a sense, because they're defying the chance of saying ISKCON is as Prabhupada stated it to be. By avoiding that simple statement, they have this whole problem on their hands. I'd say, well, what about the way people feel? What about the gurus, male gurus, females? So just what did Prabhupada want ISKCON to accomplish? How did he state that it should be done? In the possibility that we ever agree to do it the way he asked us to, what would it look like and how would it impact these current questions?
Yeah. Okay, Rupert, do you want to?
My personal view about the gurus, male or female, is that they're not really necessary. If you have Prabhupada as the founder Acharya, his words as the teaching vehicle, not somebody sitting on a chair interpreting Prabhupada's writing. If you just hear Prabhupada's words, lectures, kirtans, and do accordingly, then you don't have a problem anymore.
Yeah, that's everyone comes and then Prabhupada and the pure devotee gets, people get the right knowledge, the right understanding. Here you're getting 10 different types of understandings. You know, the bureaus.
That's what they're concerned with. So
Yeah.
each guru is saying something different. How do we figure out which one, if any of them, are right?
Yeah, right, right.
What if they're all wrong?
What if they're all
And
wrong?
they seem to be thinking that, because otherwise, why did they say we should come to it, put the appointing male gurus on hold also?
Yeah, because when we had a conversation with him, he said the majority of the people wanted this clarification. So look, it took them some 40 plus years to just come to this.
Okay, well, let's keep on going because it's fairly long and see what we can accomplish.
Okay,
There's some
Rupert, do you want to
important
read?
parts that are coming up.
Sure,
Me?
I'll read.
Yeah,
No,
Rupert,
no.
yeah.
The
Yes.
key to perfection is that everyone must agree on the absolute purity of Srila Prabhupada's written and spoken words as coming from Lord Krishna himself, by Srila Prabhupada, 100%. Lord Krishna has no interest in being involved in the shenanigans of the materially conditioned souls. He is involved in his Krishna Loka pastimes. The Uttama Adhikari, pure devotee of Lord Krishna, is known to be more merciful than Krishna, as he is willing to allow himself to be subjected to the indignity of mixing with the fallen conditioned souls, simply for the purpose of delivering them back to home, back to Godhead. Agree/disagree. 100% fidelity on our part is required in order to implement a global commitment to the words of the founder Acharya, as directly spoken through him by Lord Krishna, whose absolute desire is that his own words not be thwarted or interpreted in any way. Note, in New Vrindavan, I had the opportunity to peek in during the time that Srila Prabhupada was dictating his book via dictaphone. He had 5 reference books in front of him, and he spoke in a purely otherworldly voice, obviously channeling words for his books from higher authority. His manner of dictation was not rational or intellectual, but purely emotive, and to me, strictly guided by Lord Krishna directly, as well as the acharyas of the 5 books in front of him.
Jai. There you go. Okay.
I'm trying to nibble away at his argument that I think that Krishna Prabhupada is God.
Should I read this one since he didn't answer it?
Well, he hasn't answered any of them yet.
Well,
It's
no,
sure-
he answers here. He says no comment.
Well, that's from before.
Do you want it to read? Okay.
Yeah, keep reading. Yes.
Okay. Rupa?
Okay, so should I read that paragraph or not?
Yeah, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Yes. Yes, let's
Okay,
read.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells us that the pure devotee Acharya presents the words of Krishna pristinely and without any material touch. He continues to say that from the first hearer, sectarianism sets in due to the fact that even the first hearer is a conditioned soul, and from that time on, more and more sectarian interpretations of the impeccable transcendental message of the Uttama Adhikari Acharya inevitably take place as the conditioned souls mull over the words of the Acharya, up to the point that the various sectarian branches of the same transcendental message may end up dehumanizing or even killing members of other sects descending from the same Uttama Adhikari source. No comment. No comment? You do not agree that this is exactly what is going on in ISKCON today? You agree that
Go ahead, Prabhu. Yes.
you agree that the root problem is the secularization of ISKCON, but you do not agree with Thakur Bhaktivinoda's assessment of when this begins after the words spoken by the Uttama Adhikari. Why? Why? To me, the present Guru Tattva logjam in ISKCON is a direct manifestation of the development of various sectarian branches of ISKCON on a worldwide basis that are grappling with the issue of FDGs, but also accompanied by enough underlying issues that the ICC found it necessary to call for a moratorium of all new gurus until so many sectarian issues concerning the very inherent nature of ISKCON be resolved. Do you agree, yes or no? He says, not exactly. The Bureau, not the ICC, is calling for the moratorium. Don't get the two confused. Yes, there are sectarian sections of the present ISKCON as overseen by the GBC.
You see, that's an honest, fair statement that works towards a solution. Even though he may not see the solution or is resisting it, he's making a step towards an honest resolution. That's what I respect. Okay, let's keep going.
So you're saying that is a plus point on Bhasha Ghosh's side. He's seeing the sectarianism and saying that ISKCON is as overseen by the GBC. So
Yeah,
that's the point, and you want to communicate
you
with.
can't solve a problem until you recognize what it is.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
he's recognizing what it is
Okay.
to a degree.
In any
Keep going,
event,
but
the problem is sectarianism as declared by Thakur Bhaktivinoda, no? The cure for sectarianism is to adhere to the original words of the Acharya and not interpret them or modify them in any way, true or false. Above is the exact conundrum as stated by Thakur Bhaktivinoda. 5. As you already know, I favor going back before sectarianism cannibalized ISKCON, and I think that we should create an orthodox ISKCON mathematically exact in its word-for-word adherence to the words, kirtan styles, and written orders of Srila Prabhupada. I think this is Basu Ghosh says, great, easier said than done, no?
then I respond.
No, easier done than said. What is required is a clear voted in statement of intent on the part of each person tracing his spiritual life to the descended teachings of Srila Prabhupada, and use all Kanishta authority to make that codified into ISKCON law, gradually eliminating all resolutions from the GBC since 1970 as having no authority over the manifested Acharya Srila Prabhupada.
So you see, Vineet, that's what I was referring to. Do it gradually.
I mean, if people went back to Prabhupada's books, writings, conversations, all the answers would be clear. They can get all the right answers.
They did, yes. But they want to use them as a talisman,
Yeah.
not as a source of wisdom or instruction.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. They want to instruction on how to talk about Krishna's pastimes, but they don't want an instruction as to how to create ISKCON.
Okay, gradually eliminating all resolutions from the GBC since 1970 as having no authority over the manifested Acharya Srila Prabhupada. When you keep the core truth of Srila Prabhupada's exactly worded original orders as per his branch of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, ISKCON will surprisingly quickly become a simple and sublime structure for promoting and broadcasting the Hare Krishna mantra to all species until the end of the golden age of Kali. Agree, disagree. If there is a flaw, then where is it? Do you agree with this objective to be fully present in 1,000 years from now? Yes or no? He says, no. We are concerned with what we can control, what we are dealing with now, not 1,000 years from now.
See, that's for his Achilles heel, his weakness. Okay, keep going.
No, we are not the controller. We must surrender to and obey the controllers, namely Prabhupada and Krishna. If we do not structure ISKCON in terms of 1,000 years from now, we will only have an ISKCON comprised of Sahajiya junk by that time.
Which is already happening, right? We got this guru saying this, the other guru saying
I'm
something
just giving
else.
him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, the Sajya tendencies are there.
But the principle is the same.
I can see that
Whether it's
after
now or
15 years,
later,
50 years
if it's
from
now, fix it now. If it's later, fix it so that it doesn't happen in the past. What we're going to do is fix it now so it will not happen in 1,000 years. What's happening now should not continue to happen or be still happening in 1,000 years, right?
exactly like
Anyhow, let's keep going. I mean, is everything clear?
No, devotee wanted to make a comment. Vinayak Prabhu wanted to make a comment. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Yes.
just like in the past 20 years, like we can see the Gaudiya Matha, within 50 years, they turned into Sajya tendencies. Similar thing we are again going to watch in ISKCON happening in 50 years from now. Like there is a increased competencies between devotees in reading new literatures or reading previous Goswami's literatures. And as soon as they are going into their interpretations, they are having a tendency of inclining towards this Sajya philosophy. So this is like, I have seen that. I have been to Gaudiya Matha, and there I have seen these tendencies too much, like neophytes having access to esoteric literatures. Same is with ISKCON, also present days, like neophytes reading esoteric literatures and getting some kind of
Yeah.
these
But
thoughts.
Pani Prabhu, don't you agree that the problem is not going to be solved with literature? The problem is going to be solved by structure. So if we have the right structure, the same literature will be there. We're not saying somebody other than Prabhupada's writing should be there, although they're hinting at it. No, the Prabhupada's writing should be there. Our question is, how do we structure it so that we have access and then go beyond the literature to chanting everywhere? Nobody even thinks, in this whole problem, nobody even thinks about where is the chanting going to take place. We used to go out on Sankirtan for 10 hours a day, everybody. We'd leave the temple empty. Everybody in the temple would go up for 10 hours a day. Nobody sitting in their office with their computer tapping away. We didn't have computers, but anyhow.
So,
That's
so
what
you,
we're
so
Yeah.
you're saying that Prabhupada's books are the standard, but there will be more books, or what are you saying?
No. Prabhupada's books are the standard, but we need not try to build our structure around reading them. We should build our structure around obeying the instructions in them.
Okay.
I mean, if we could go and read for 10 hours, how Prabhupada says you should be doing this, that, and the other thing for 10 hours. But at the end of that, all you've done is read about doing something for 10 hours without actually doing it for 10 hours. You get it? And then
Yes.
we have to take action, not simply indulge in different esoteric theories. The books are not going to take you back to Godhead. What will take you back to Godhead is chanting, and more importantly, getting others to hear and participate in some way or another with the chanting. Only the chanting is the only Yuga Dharma. The books are simply there to let us know why we should chant. But if we're trying to obsess with the books are not going to take you back to Godhead. They'll take you into another birth in ISKCON somewhere as a scholar. This won't get you any closer back to Krishna Lokam.
Okay, let's continue. Note, the writers of the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights were not planning for a quick fix of the problems of independence. They even wrote that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. Is that a written statement?
Yes, it's in the Constitution.
That this government for the people, by the people, and for the people, people, 3 times.
Yeah.
Huh?
Meaning the people.
Yeah.
You
That
said,
this government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish
Yeah.
from
They
this
even
earth.
wrote that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. That has more vision than he is willing, Basha Ghosh is willing to contemplate. He wants to fix the little problems. Well, keep going.
Right. The founding fathers were Freemasons and believed in a higher destiny for mankind, and then at the mere level of social
Permissiveness.
permissiveness currently promulgated by the present-day liberals. They traced the origins back to the Egyptian goddesses. What?
Goddess Isis.
Okay, bypassing the highly politicized Catholic Church by 1,000,000 miles. These Freemasons, what background were they from? They were Jewish, Irish, German, what, or all kinds of? Do you
They were
remember?
a mystical order that harks back to Egypt.
Okay.
And they became a part of the Catholic Church in the sense the Knights Templar were Masons and promulgated Masonic ritual. And in Washington, D.C., there's a whole bunch of obelisks all over there. You know, the Washington Monument, but it looks like a tower that tapers. It's a Masonic obelisk. They built it on purpose. And there's 5 others to create a mystical dynamic in New York City with Washington too.
Okay.
In other words, they had a mystical vision. But what I'm pointing out is their mystical vision was not just for let's go along to get along. Their mystical vision was let's create something that will last for 1,000 years or 10,000 years. They did not, when they say shall not perish from this earth, they didn't put a time limit on that.
Yeah.
So it really means as long as you can handle it or forever, one or the other. But it will last forever if you maintain it forever, it will last forever. If you let it slag, it will go when you give up on it.
Yeah, I
Does
think
that make sense?
Srila Prabhupada also said something like this. Now we have established this great society. Now let's not, make it fumble or let's not destroy it.
Yeah, well,
Let's
exactly.
at least continue whatever I've done,
But
not.
these guys became more capitalist pigs than they became mystical leaders of a mystical society.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
The founding fathers were Freemasons and believed in the higher destiny for mankind than the mere level of social permissiveness
Permissiveness.
currently promulgated by the present-day liberals. They trace the origins back to the Egyptian goddess Isis, bypassing the highly politicized Catholic Church by a million miles. If our founding fathers could create a republic for the ages, then we can certainly create the ISKCON republic that Srila Prabhupada ordered, also for the ages, elected in the 21st century, ordered a few decades ago by the transcendental founder, Acharya of ISKCON. Agree, disagree. Then he says, who wrote this? Oh, that's you,
that
right?
was me.
Okay, number 6.
That was me.
Okay.
I have to sort the thing through. It's a mess.
Yeah. 6, it appears that your prime objection to that outcome is that you do not want the accumulation of loving exchanges developed over the last 50 plus years to be obliterated in the process of rectification. Nonetheless, when we decide to go back to ISKCON as it is, 1968, 1970, we can easily retain and amplify the loving exchanges developed from that time up until now. Do you agree? Yes? No? No, there is no going back to the ISKCON of the past. Why? I mean, he says that strategically because if we go back to the past, that means a lot of stuff that they have done would mean that would need to be rectified. No, let's continue the patchwork right now.
Yeah, well, that's what they were thinking. Well, he continues, so keep going.
Yes, past is the past. We have to deal with the situation as it is now. It's now because you did not follow what was the right thing to do, right? Past is the past.
Well,
we have to deal with it.
That's my point, yeah.
Yeah. Going back is just sentimentalism to my mind. Well, if everything is hodgepodged up, then you have to go back to fix the issues, right? If everyone is
look at his next statement.
Okay, let's see. The ISKCON of the past was when we were all hippies and ignorant of Vedic literature and proper Sadachar, Siddhanta, etc. No going back.
So
that
what
is
he looks at is that Prabhupada created a mission, a movement at that time for hippies. And we won't want to ever go back to that again because we've gone along further from them than Prabhupada created.
Yeah, that's
He
just
doesn't see that what Prabhupada created was a structure that Lord Brahma could take part in, that Lord Indra could take part in. I mean, there's no limit to who can take part in the ISKCON that Prabhupada created. But he thinks it was just designed by Prabhupada off the cuff for hippies. That means he doesn't have any stock that in ISKCON, but ISKCON was just a way of getting to the literatures that he is now studying, that he gets out of libraries in ISKCON in India.
Yeah, I mean, the ISKCON of the past was when we were all hippies. Maybe they are still hippies. That's why they can't follow the instructions.
Well, that's another thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah,
Quite accurate, I should say. But
yeah. And they're
the
still
main
ignorant
thing
of
is
the bit. And
Prabhupada was not dealing with hippies. He was dealing with jivas.
yeah,
And who knows what jiva the hippie was in the previous life.
right.
He might have been a great leader of the Catholic Church. Who knows what he was? He might have been a great nobleman. He might have been Nero. He might have been a great military leader. We don't know who he was. All we know is he became a hippie. So you can't judge a hippie by anything without looking at their previous lives as well. And Prabhupada also said a lot of these people like hippies are demigods, are standing in line to take birth in the Krishna consciousness movement. As they came down, just like Haridas Thakur, oh, he's a wretched, no good Muslim.
Yeah,
I mean, he can't. This movement isn't designed for wretched Muslims like him. He should just did it and chant innumerable japa rounds.
and then
Yeah, wouldn't they be surprised if the veil comes up? And they say, "Oh my God, this no good Muslim guy that I'm calling a hippie of the time of Lord Chaitanya, that hippie Muslim guy is Lord Brahma, the creator of this very universe. And he didn't used to be, he still is.
Hmm.
So we can't judge by the body."
And then he says, and ignorant of Vedic literature. You see it here? I highlighted
Where?
it. And ignorant of Vedic literature. I mean, how is it ignorant of Vedic literature? Prabhupada published books in 69, 68, 70. How are we ignorant of Vedic literature?
Well, that's because he's thinking if we get in more Vedic, then we'll find out better how to run ISKCON, which really means he's moving towards being a Hindu.
I mean, that's where he was all this time, so we can blame him.
Really, he was a disciple of Prabhupada back when he was falling apart. So let's keep going. Does Rupa want to read again? Or what?
Is she still here?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here.
Can you read, Prabhu?
Note, from your comment above, it appears that you can only see ISKCON as a
This is me writing, by
sociological
the way.
Okay, yes.
experiment from the days of the hippies. What Srila Prabhupada spoke and wrote was not just for the hippies. His goal of making hippies into happies was to gather hundreds of them in Vedic clothes, tilak, neck beads, japa beads, as sannyasis, chaste householder women, etc., to flood India with his disciples in order to force the Vedic remnants of India to re-embrace their Vedic heritage and not fall into the trap of eating meat in America. He was able to do this with a skeleton crew, which, as you have experienced, had more than a moderate success. The absolute refusal by the GBC to be the elected servants of the servants of the rapidly expanding explosion of new ISKCON temples all over the world caused the Hare Krishna explosion to come to a sudden halt, as the GBC wanted the money and power of being able to control a limited number of temples as theirs, rather than enforcing Srila Prabhupada's order that each temple be separately incorporated as ISKCON. Obeying the Dham means that the GBC would have no absolute control over any temples, as they would be fully occupied helping the Hare Krishna explosion temples reach the new standards that Srila Prabhupada created in Los Angeles and wanted implemented in all the new ISKCON temples that were exploding into existence. Note, I acted as the pre-GVC by setting up the Detroit temple from a house into a highly functioning temple. I carved deities, built an altar, showed the devotees how to do Nagar Sankirtan, purchased the aortic articles, articles from a local Indian importer, showed them how to conduct class, cook, etc. In less than 3 months, over 30 devotees had joined and taken initiation. Super kirtans, Srila Prabhupada melodies, world-class prasadam, world-class deity worship, etc. Then I did the same for Buffalo as well, and helped upgrade Boston and New York as well. What I did in I think you meant to say 69.
Yeah.
What I did in
1969.
1969 was the actual duty of the GBC as mandated by the DOM in 1970. Had the GBC
Oh, I'm sorry, 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had the
Go
GBC.
ahead.
Had the GBC obeyed Srila Prabhupada's DOM, we would have had thousands, not about 200 Western devotees going to India. Srila Prabhupada described this as his dream. 1,000 years from now, Srila Prabhupada in the center of the Vyasa-san as the Acharya living still in sound, or Srila Prabhupada reduced to a symbol like the crucified Jesus in the Catholic Church hanging somewhere on the wall as a symbol being the founder Acharya and playing a purely symbolic role while the main theology of ISKCON would be decided by ICC or GBC votes. Yes, no. He says, no speculation on what will happen even 50 years from now. What to speak of 1,000.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, it shows he's ready to put the brakes on.
I mean, look, in 1977, they came out with these appointed gurus and successors or whatever, and it's exploding right now, 50 years later. So if they continue like this, transgender gurus and all these things are next. It's not hard to believe that this is going to happen.
So the way he thinks, I'm willing to go out of the house. You're saying, let's go out of the house and go for a walk. Well, I'm willing to go out of the house, but I'll go as far as the porch. I'm not willing to walk across the yard. I'm not willing to walk all the way over to the street. I'm only willing to stand on the porch and be where I think I'm safe. That's what he's thinking. Is it not?
Yeah, he's so concerned about now. Why is he so concerned about now? That's like body consciousness.
Because he knows if he says what I'm saying to them, they will kick him out. But what I'm suggesting is set this in your heart and then see where it goes from there. I can see I have to reconfigure this whole thing. Thank you for going through it. It makes it possible for me to do that. I worked on it for hours and hours last night, and I got sort of baffled, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's continue, huh? We got about 15 minutes.
Well, we still have to,
No, there is a key difference between speculation and planning. Yes, no. We are in the key position to plan for 1,000 years, just as the U.S. founding fathers planned for the U.S. Constitution into perpetuity. He says, it is in the realm of conjecture to discuss what will be in a future that we have no control over or involvement with. You said, on the contrary, it is our bound duty to provide ISKCON in its absolutely pure form for those in 1,000 years. Your statement above would have disqualified you from participation in the Constitutional Convention in the late 1700s. Cojones were required, as well as a strong spiritually guided vision.
Yeah, that's the thing. Prabhupada wanted all these Gurukula students and stuff to be trained up to be the next, leaders and great devotees.
well,
right?
Tamal famously told me, I don't want anyone to join who is more intelligent than I am. He said that to me in Bombay.
Wow.
So when they saw the Gurukulis as being taking over the movement, they did everything they could to destroy them. And how do you destroy a Brahmin? Take away his chastity.
Yeah, all kinds of
By
problems.
molesting them, it wasn't they just getting the rocks off
Right.
molesting the Gurukulis, they wanted to destroy them as spiritually superior to them.
Hmm.
That was their, and I don't know if it's conscious, but it's certainly their underlying motive. Keep
Okay.
going, Rupert. We got to keep through this.
Okay.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, sectarianism is a natural byproduct of the absolute truth. When acharyas first ascertain and instruct the truth, it is not polluted with sectarianism. Note, that is the original transcendental vision of which I speak. That vision must never be allowed to be contaminated by relativistic religious opinion, but must be as fanatically maintained by ISKCON as a whole, as much as the US Constitution is regarded as the absolute standard from which most other nations have used as a model for their rules of governance. There is no question of delay. This must be implemented now, or we will see ISKCON reduced to relativistic mental speculation as well as subservient to the demands of those who desire sense gratification. Agree, disagree. Can we
Fine.
skip this part?
Okay, you just want to read his responses. Bhasha so we have read this already, right?
Yeah, we have read this already.
Okay, let's skip it. Is right here. Let's start here.
Is ISKCON on the verge of fully manifested sectarianism? Yes, no, yes. No, Lord Krishna and Srila Prabhupada will give you the power to bring ISKCON back to home, back to Prabhupada.
Where are you reading from now?
Right here. Check your screen. I'm controlling here. See, we're right here.
Okay. Yeah, I found it. Yeah.
It is my observation that you are more interested in a socio-political resolution of the present issues facing ISKCON. True or false? True.
Okay. Number 10.
That's the weakness. But it leaves Prabhupada as a divine personality out of the picture. Historic person? True. Divine personality? You're missing the point. He's missing the point. Keep going.
10.
My understanding of Guru Shastra Sadhu is that the words of the founder
No, you
Acharya.
missed a piece above it.
No, that's not Bhasha Ghosh. That's yours.
Yeah. Well, can you read it?
Okay, note, Krishna has bigger plans for you. He will guide you from within to bring this ISKCON movement back from the dire predictions of Thakur Bhaktivinoda. My understanding of Guru Shastra Sadhu is that the words of the founder Acharya are not authored by Srila Prabhupada, but by Lord Krishna himself. Yes, no. He says, no, not true. Prabhupada is not Lord Krishna, as he had said many times. Note, then you do not
That's
agree.
a very strange thing for him to say. Keep going. I
No,
want to
then
get
you
through this because I want to get your ideas. Keep going.
Okay.
then you do not agree that the Uttama Adhikari is the transparent via medium of Lord Krishna. Do you assume that Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna are not in any communication whatsoever? I experienced Srila Prabhupada being guided by Lord Krishna as he stayed up all night translating. It seems that you imagine that Srila Prabhupada wrote his books relying on his own brain. Do you consider the Uttama Adhikari to be an ordinary man? In other words, not guided by Lord Krishna? Are you close to being an atheist? Yes or no? Remember, Srila Prabhupada prayed to Lord Paramatma, make me dance like a puppet on a string. Does that indicate to you that Srila Prabhupada did everything on his own without being fully directed by Lord Krishna? Yes or no?
Okay. We got more to go, huh? We got like a lot more to go.
Well, let's try to see it go as far as we can.
You want to read your responses, or you want to let's
The whole thing.
because we're gonna have to redo it anyway. So because it's all jumbled up. So why?
Well, I can unjumble it, but why
Yeah.
not just read straight through as far as we can right now?
Okay.
We've got 10 minutes to go.
Okay, let's do it
Yeah, let's use it well.
right here.
No, the transparent via medium is non-different from Krishna. That does not make him Krishna. The pure devotee is equal in quality, but not equal in quantity to Krishna. Remember, the Uttama Adhikari is not appointed by the GBC. He resides in Krishna Loka, and he is in his eternal rasa with Krishna. Do you really believe that the Uttama Adhikari is somehow separated from Krishna due to his earthly pastimes? The Uttama Adhikari is fully in his rasa with Krishna, which does not end when he appears on earth to sacrifice himself to deliver us brainless hippies. I remember in New Vrindavan in 1969, sitting outdoors in a group with Srila Prabhupada, and when asked, "Can you see Krishna?" he was astonished. "You cannot see him here in the forest? He is everywhere. Do you understand? Don't understand."
Hmm.
And as such, Lord Krishna himself will never be satisfied until he observes that his own mission as the Yuga avatar will be complete only when he himself is recognized by us as having personally sent and directed Srila Prabhupada, but that he has authored each and every word uttered by Srila Prabhupada. Yes, no. No, I disagree. Srila Prabhupada was empowered by Lord Krishna, but is not Lord Krishna.
I thought that was a pretty impeccable statement.
Apparently not.
Note,
Keep going.
do you really consider that being sent by Lord Krishna is the same thing as being Lord Krishna? Of course, Srila Prabhupada is not Lord Krishna. He is a fully realized Uttama Adhikari in his eternal rasa with Lord Krishna. Do you believe that this intimate reciprocal relationship with Lord Krishna comes to an end when the pure devotee descends to earth from Krishna Loka? As a resident of Krishna Loka, he is eternally
The intimate associate of Lord Krishna, and is eternally in his rasa with Krishna.
Yeah, you can read.
Okay. Okay. There is only one Lord Krishna, and we are one of the infinite number of infinitesimal parts and parcels of Krishna. But when we leave this seemingly perpetual Kanishta Adhikari embodied state of being, we can move through the Madhyama Adhikari and also attain our rasa with Krishna as an Uttama Adhikari. When an Uttama Adhikari is in his rasa with Krishna, do we imagine that Krishna has no opinion on what his Uttama Adhikari part and parcel thinks and does? Do you really believe that Srila Prabhupada acted independently and was not controlled and guided by Lord Krishna with every word that he spoke and every step that he took? I have only encountered what you seem to believe in reading Kamsa's view on Krishna's identity. Do you actually believe that Srila Prabhupada was essentially an ordinary man, but a lot more advanced than our GBC adopted gurus? Yes, no. GBC appointed guru. Do you not believe that Srila Prabhupada is eternally in his direct rasa with Krishna? Yes, no. Do you believe that he was just another embodied guru in a large crowd of ordinary gurus who managed to become acharya of hippie ISKCON? I hope not, although the GBC and other leading ISKCON seem far more interested in their own views than experiencing absolute surrender to Srila Prabhupada's views. I believe that it is your destiny to lead them out of the dark. Yes, no. Okay, number 12. It is my observation that Lord Krishna, having personally created the ISKCON movement with the full success of ISKCON beyond a sectarian interpretation of his sacred words, cannot occur until those like yourself who will take on a causal role in the future of ISKCON will have rectified the mood and structure of ISKCON until fully back to its exact teachings and words uttered by Srila Prabhupada himself. Do you agree or disagree? Agree. Bhakti Ghosh says, agree. I further observed that for a global ISKCON movement to be truly recognized, Srila Prabhupada that each and every temple on earth must independently adopt all the following. Okay. Only chant Srila Prabhupada's melodies following his exact innotation,
Notations.
as though he was personally leading the kirtan. Only dance the Swami step as the step opens the heart, throat, heart, abnormal chakra,
Abdominal chakras,
so
so
that
that immediate transcendental, not manic ecstasy can be attained.
okay. Meticulously study his Aditala Mardanga beats as that beat stripes open up the heart and abdominal chakras. Replicate his cartel playing, no clashing, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto. The heart is bound with cords that constrain it, and the sound of the cartel cuts through those cords, causing the heart to release and the eyes to fill spontaneously with tears of relief and joy. Okay. This style of kirtan, ever present in 1967 and 69, ended up producing genuine surrender to Krishna in the mood of Srila Prabhupada, as well as a total relief of accumulated karmic tensions, so that at the end of kirtan, there would be involuntary tears in every eye. We have the capacity to replicate those early days via recordings from the time in 1969. I remember a kirtan led by Srila Prabhupada that was uplifting and out of body, that we seemed to be chanting from an exalted higher plane of existence, and with the devotees becoming unrecognizable as human beings, but transported into a transcendental etheric realm of ecstasy. Srila Prabhupada generally lifted us out of our bodies, and we could begin to taste some fragment of spiritual life. Disagree. Asking to mimic Srila Prabhupada isn't the desire of Srila Prabhupada. Mimic Srila Prabhupada, it's called follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. The first requirement of a disciple is that he accept everything given by him, by the spiritual master, and reject nothing given to him by the spiritual master. Okay, we got 2 minutes. For an example, Achyutanandana, then Swami, sang more differently than Prabhupada did, and yet Prabhupada wrote that he is a first-class kirtan man. Who's that? Who wrote that? You wrote it?
No, Basu Ghosh wrote it
Oh, interesting.
because Narayan was saying that we should chant Prabhupada's melodies.
Okay.
Exactly.
That may be, but Srila Prabhupada was insulted by his songs of the Vaishnava Acharya's songbook and forbade him to publish it. He had replaced Srila Prabhupada's transcendental translations from Bengali with his own translation. Achyutanandana told me that he said to Srila Prabhupada, too bad, Srila Prabhupada, I have already published it. His kirtans may have gathered crowds in India, but they destroyed kirtan worldwide. Achyutanandana told the devotees, Srila Prabhupada's melodies are for Western beginners. These melodies from the Bengali street kirtans are the real kirtans. Whenever Achyutanandana would lead a kirtan, Srila Prabhupada would never chant in response. He just kept his head avert and very stoic. The wild kirtans were accompanied by wild improved dancing, and Srila Prabhupada coined the word
It's supposed to be improvised.
improvised dancing, and Srila Prabhupada coined the word dancing white elephants. No one ever realized that was an insult, not a compliment. Okay, as the same for Hansaduta, the king of Kirtan, and Madhuvisa, the emperor of Kirtan, where is the instruction from Srila Prabhupada that would puppet him? Puppet among Vaishnavas, it is called following the footsteps. Narottam Das Thakur sings Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Loka, not that the, what's it? Eunuchs and fishermen in the West Bengal. Okay, we're at 10 o'clock. Okay.
Oh, can we go on a little bit further or not?
We should stick to the time.
Okay, let's stick to the time.
How much more is there?
A lot more. Maybe
What does that
another,
mean?
maybe another 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the end of it right there. We could take another 5 minutes. It will take 5 minutes to finish it.
No, but we're just reading it. I mean, we want to discuss it too, no? If we read
I know,
it,
but if you read
It's
it,
gonna take
you
way
read
more
it,
than
it'll-
5 minutes.
no, it won't.
let's do it next time then. Let's
Well,
yeah,
the
let's
thing
do-
is, I want to respond, and I want to have to rewrite a lot of it, and I was trying to get a sense of what it sounded like from you.
okay, then let's do 5 more minutes then.
Try 5 minutes.
Okay.
and see what happens,
Okay.
Because we've already spent 5 minutes saying we can't do it.
Okay, Achyutananda also told me that he did not like Srila Prabhupada's translations of the Bengali Acharyas by Srila Prabhupada. I asked him why. He told me that Srila Prabhupada's translations were not accurate and that his were better. One has to look far and wide to find Srila Prabhupada's sublime and poetic original translations. By the way, well, that is not the case. You can just hear the translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada on many of his songs. By the way, Srila Prabhupada wrote an introduction to the Vaishnava songbook before Achyutananda finished writing it. Nice trick, no? Achyutananda refused to leave Madhav Maharaj's ashram, where he was the dancing white elephant, and to go stay with Sridhar Maharaj, who then considered to be a bore. He never forgave Srila Prabhupada and worked very hard to upstage him. Many of his melodies were Jewish pop songs from New York, and I encountered them years later riding elevators in the city. I got to know Achyutananda very well in Calcutta and Navadvip, and I assure you that he did not like Srila Prabhupada very much, just a platform for him to play a starring role. I got to be in India off and on for about 10 years and got to know all the early devotees before and as they climbed their way to money and power. Okay, this is who's saying this. Usually his melodies and cartel beats globally will make it possible for a world Sankirtan to exist in a way that would transcendently manifest Srila Prabhupada in his living form, though transcendental sound vibration. See my above comments. Also, see my above comments as well. Okay. In that way, the entire world can be consumed by the bliss of chanting Hare Krishna in such a way that Srila Prabhupada would be literally transcendentally personally present in the center of Kirtan, comprised of devotees from 10 continents who had never heard each other chanted before. This is what I realized. If adopted, every strange issue that you are now hoping to solve would be automatically globally rectified in full. Agree, disagree, disagree. It is in his power to do so. Agree, disagree. If Lord Krishna were to empower you would agree, disagree. Sectarianism declared by Bhaktivinoda Thakur would never again be able to raise its ugly head. Utopian. You might be surprised. David killed Goliath. Daniel was not eaten in the lion's den. Samson killed 10,000 warriors and jawbone of an ass.
He killed 10,000 warriors with the jawbone of an ass.
Oh, and then broke down the house of the Palestinians with his bare hands. Okay. None of them were even vegetarians, what to speak of empowered by Lord Krishna. Continue to pray to Lord Krishna. He will guide you what to do, what to say and do. I can only opine from afar. You can single-handedly bring about the prophecy of Srila Prabhupada. This Krishna consciousness movement will go down in history as having saved the world in its momentous hour of need. But it will require that you accept being guided from within by Lord Paramatma and without by Srila Prabhupada's Vani. Hey, it worked for Srila Prabhupada. Why not you? Agree, disagree. Hope this meets you well. Das Sanudas, your eternal servant, Narayan Vishwakarma Das. Okay, then you write, just imagine 50 years from now. Okay, you have read that already.
You don't have to read that.
Okay, so 5 minutes, right on
No, we
time.
did it. It didn't take half an hour.
Okay, so who's here? There was a question asked maybe we can address it before we sign out.
You know, we have made a decree, a decision or a intent that if people have questions, we can go over the time slightly to answer the question.
Yeah, one second. I'm just looking at this. Rupa, can you read the question in the meantime? I'm looking at YouTube, see if we have any questions. Can you do that, Prabhu? The
Sure.
question in the chat.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I was asked by one of my friends who is actually devotee and reading Prabhupada's books to ask you and get clarification of his doubts. Okay. His doubt was given below. Hare Krishna Prabhu, I don't know whether it's right to ask the question here. Correct me if I'm wrong. As we know, Prabhupada was always against impersonalists, and one of the reasons that was that they represented God to be formless. Even does Islam religion also represents God to be formless? Yet Srila Prabhupada called Paigambar to be great Krishna consciousness, and as Shaktavesh, and that we can see in many of his Srila Prabhupada's purports. Why did Srila Prabhupada not dismiss Paigambar's teachings? I don't know who Paigambar is.
I don't either. And I'm not sure that this is an accurate statement.
He is Muhammad, so he's asking that if
So why
Prabhupada
don't
was
if you want
against.
to reply, why don't you say, we need more background because we've never heard of this incident.
No, I can understand the question. He is saying that Prabhupada was against Mayavadis, but why did he say that Muhammad, the philosophy of Muhammad in Islam, was a kind of Krishna consciousness, and he was also Shaktavesh.
Muhammad?
Yeah.
It's just it was a non-sectarian, sociologically oriented gesture that means very little in terms of what we're studying. It just meant to be gracious towards their belief, just as he was gracious towards Jesus also. When you're dealing in a country that has a belief system, it's not a really courteous thing to say that your guru is completely off the track.
Right.
So he would give credit where credit was due, even though he gave a lot of credit where very little credit was due.
Okay, should we finish for the night now?
Well,
Sure.
did you have any? Were there any more questions?
No more questions, Prabhu.
And Rupa,
Right.
did you find anything more when you searched?
I didn't search.
Okay, let's end it here and let's come back again. So we can discuss.
Well, if there's another question, we should answer it. But-
There's
but
no more
Rupa could
questions.
leave.
There's no
Rupa
more
said there's
questions.
No more questions.
No more
There's
questions.
nothing. You asked her to look.
Yeah, I look. There's no questions.
Okay, fine. Okay, so how do we set? Are you